Thank you all so much for watching my second video. It's been really interesting getting used to being on camera, being comfortable talking to a camera when there's no one in the room. But I'm glad you're watching because that means I'm actually talking to someone. Anyways, I'm so happy to be here today, and I am going to talk about why I decided to quit attending BYU schools and what I will be doing instead. But first, as a disclaimer, I did not make this video to hate on any school or students, faculty, or group of individuals, so I am going to be as serious and factual as I can when I talk about this in order to make this as reasonable as possible. I am also not trying to brag or show off. Rather, I intend to show you that there are more options than meet the eye when you are pursuing a college degree. So let's get started. I am Jacob, 22 years old, European American, born and raised in Utah. And when I tell people, the first question I always get asked is,
are you Mormon?
Well, yes, actually I am. Both of my parents graduated from BYU, Brigham Young University, the main university affiliated with the LDS or Mormon Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Growing up, it was my dream to attend this school. It is obviously not Harvard or the best in the country, but it is a good university with lots of amazing programs and smart people. And I saw it as the ideal pathway to my future. In the culture of my religion, people work really hard in school and in their careers, in sports, or whatever it is they are pursuing. It's just what we do. We work hard, we have discipline, we follow rules. It's the way we live our lives. So, as you can imagine, there's a lot of top academic performers who want to attend this school, which happens to be affiliated with my religious organization. And consequently, it has become quite competitive to be accepted to the mainstream BYU school. There are actually 4 church schools, with BYU Provo, Utah, the main one, BYU Idaho, BYU Hawaii, and LDS Business College. So they're all good schools, but BYU is really the only full-fledged university with research, graduate degrees, and a worldwide reputation. So for me, I didn't really see the other schools as much of an option to complete a degree. I've always been really internationally minded, and my dream is to create amazing products for the international market that will help the lives of many people. I was a pretty good student in high school. I worked really hard. I did sports, extracurricular activities, but I wasn't the best. I figured with my well-rounded portfolio, extracurricular activities, and decent grades and test scores, I had a chance of being accepted to BYU. I applied and I got rejected. I did not get into BYU. So yeah, I was pretty mad. I was accepted to BYU Idaho and BYU Hawaii, which are, in my opinion, second-class schools in comparison to BYU Provo. The standards are not the same. The classes are easier. So I went on a 2-year mission for my church, volunteered in Spokane, Washington for 2 years, and I loved it. It was great. And when that was done, I got back. I spent about 2 weeks at home, and then I went straight to BYU Idaho, and I did 2 semesters there. I did a winter semester and a spring semester, so it was about a total of 6 months, because they have these weird short semesters to try and get school done for kids as fast as they could. And it actually even has a different academic schedule from BYU Provo, which honestly I thought is a little off-putting. So I did my classes. Honestly, it was better than I expected. There's a lot of really good, smart kids at BYU Idaho, and they're working really hard getting their degrees, and they want to make a good future for themselves, and that's why they're there, like many colleges in America. And not only that, but they are members of my church. They don't drink, they don't party like a lot of kids do at other schools. They're just there trying to make a good life for themselves. A lot of kids at the BYU schools, whether it's in Hawaii, Idaho, or Provo, work really hard. They don't stay out late because there's rules against that, and they get married at a young age. And you'll see kids in their undergraduate degrees still, and they already have a wife and a kid or two. So it's a really different dynamic from other college campuses in America, and I really enjoyed it. Most of my classes were really good. I saw BYU Idaho as more of like a community college. For me, it wasn't really somewhere I planned on finishing my bachelor's degree. I knew that I needed to start planning where I wanted to transfer to. I knew I wanted to get a degree in industrial design, which is designing things like cars, home appliances, like vacuums, fridges, televisions, cell phones, laptops, shoes, just any kind of product you can buy. That's what I want to design for my career. And BYU Idaho didn't really have a program which would specifically teach this. I decided to keep looking. I wasn't really enjoying the small town in Idaho where the school is located. There's probably more college students, undergraduate students, than locals, and it gets really cold in the winter. I didn't really like that BYU Idaho does not have postgraduate students or research programs. So you can learn and you can get college credit, but it's not really good for building a network or having really cutting edge programs because their only motivation is to get people college credit. So BYU Idaho is basically a community college for members of my church. After 2 semesters, I decided to take a break and went to study Chinese by a recommendation of my Chinese professor at BYU Idaho in Beijing, China at Capital Normal University. And if you watched my last video, I did a review of the school and the campus, so go watch that. Here's the linky link. But I went there originally for 1 semester. It was really good. I liked it. I made a lot of really amazing friends. My Chinese became fluent. It was good. I loved it. Beijing was an awesome city to live in. A lot of people there. I made great friends with the students. There was even a little church group that I went to, and I loved it. No regrets there. I'm so happy I spent the time I did in Beijing. In Beijing, I decided that the experience I was having in China was really valuable. I was learning a lot, excelling in a new language, and really having a good time, and I wanted to continue that, and I decided, why not finish a whole degree here? I looked at schools in China. A lot of them were okay, but not really what I was looking for in a university. There's some really top schools in Beijing, like Tsinghua University or Peking University. Tsinghua has an industrial design program that I looked into applying for, and I missed the deadline. Dang it! But I kept looking, and I applied to this one called Xi'an Liverpool University, located in a smaller city near Shanghai. And that's a weird name. It's like 2 languages. What the heck? But what it is a Chinese university and a British university came together and made a 3rd school combined with classes taught in English, intended for Chinese students and international. It's a great school. It's really modern. The buildings are super new. Here's some footage of what the campus looks like. And I applied. The application was free. I was like, what the heck? I'm looking for whatever I can get at this point. So I filled out the application, I submitted it, and I got accepted. And I was worried at first because the tuition there is like a little expensive, but then like a month later they awarded me a 50% scholarship for having pretty good application, good test scores, grades, whatever. And I was like, whoa, okay, I can like go here. I could do this. This could be a thing. So I thought about it. It seemed really good. I had already knocked out a year at BYU Idaho. And for British college degrees, which this is, you do 1 year of general classes and then 3 years of your major. So I did that. I did 1 year of general classes at BYU Idaho, like Chinese and some other classes. towards whatever degree I decided to get. So I could get my industrial design degrees at this school in China in 3 years. So I was like, okay, let's do this. By this point, I had already extended to a second semester in Beijing. I was still doing Chinese classes, really trying to pound out my Chinese language skills. So I sent my acceptance letter of admission and the scholarship, made a tuition deposit, got everything ready to get my visa, and that's what I'm working on right now, is applying for my visa to go back in China in the fall. I've actually already bought a plane ticket, made reservations for a dorm and everything, so I'm super excited. It's gonna be awesome. I have 3 more years of school in China, and hopefully I'll get to come back to the US in between semesters. So yeah, I feel good. And a lot of you were like, well, that's kind of weird. Why would an American student, someone from the country with the best schools in the world, want to go somewhere like China? You know, China's lame. China makes knockoffs of stuff. China makes fake everything. China this, China that. And honestly, like, people need to go try it out. You can get a lot of valuable experience by studying in another country, and a lot of people don't realize that. And there's study abroad programs that are just about traveling, and if you have money to do that, then that's great. But I think, honestly, I got more out of just staying in Beijing for almost a year and learning the language than I would have gotten out of being some Instagram fangirl flying all over the world, doing what a lot of study abroad students do for just a semester or 2. It was good. I'm really glad I stayed in Beijing and got kind of a on-the-ground experience. It was really nice. So, of course, I was actually considering transferring from BYU Idaho to BYU Provo, which is what a lot of students do, go from one of the other BYU schools to the main one once they improve their grades or whatever. But I decided that I wasn't feeling it. I wanted to try something else. I wanted to get out of my bubble a little bit. Like, I grew up in Utah, spent most of my life there. I've only not lived in Utah for 3 out of 22 years. And I was inspired by my dad, who traveled for his job, to do something with my life and my career that would allow me to get out and experience, meet new people, learn languages. My dad is fluent in Spanish and lived in Argentina for 2 years. And that was just always something that I saw for myself. So I decided if I transferred to BYU and finished my degree there, my dream would be a lot less likely to happen. So I should try to do something that would make that happen for myself. So that's what I did. Academically, like in school, I know I'm not anything special. Like, I work really hard, but especially from high school, I didn't have the best test scores, and I am a white male from a financially stable family, so the college admissions cards were not in my favor anyways, and I decided it wasn't worth getting rejected again. So I just didn't even try. I skipped the rat race and was like, I'm just gonna go somewhere where no one else like me is. The student bodies at the BYU schools are known for not being especially diverse. At BYU's main school here in Utah, in Provo, 83% of the students are white Americans, and the number is actually lower in BYU Idaho. Only 55% of the students are white Americans, and it was actually a lot more diverse. There was a lot of international students there. But I decided I wanted to be the international student. I wanted to know what it was like for them to come to a different country to study, so that's what I did. So I chose something new that would give me a radically different experience as an international student. Despite having high moral standards myself and being a religious person who follows what I believe, I don't completely agree with all of the rules that BYU imposes on its students. For example, BYU students are not allowed to stay out past 12 midnight. Basically, they have to be back in their apartments or their roommates are allowed to tell on them and basically get them in trouble or even suspended or kicked out of school if they are breaking the rules too much. Obviously, at a church-sponsored university, members of the church should obey the rules that the church has. They shouldn't drink, they shouldn't do drugs, they shouldn't do crazy things with other people sexually, they shouldn't do things that contradict the rules of the church. But the problem I had was that they had rules that went above and beyond what the church does. Like, men on campus can't grow facial hair, you can't wear shorts to class, you have to be in your apartment by midnight. But obviously, I'm an adult, I can take care of myself. Yeah, call me a rebel, but I didn't like that, and it wasn't my thing. So I jumped out of that when I could. And me disagreeing with the honor code does not make me a trashy person. It just means that I would rather take care of myself. Like, I have my religion, I follow those rules. I don't need a school that tells me what to do. Especially if the school is going to go above and beyond the rules of the religion which it represents. So yeah, I got out of that. I really liked being in China. Helping people to understand my culture and learning more about theirs was a lot more of a big thing there that I really, really value a lot. In addition, like I said, I want to continue improving my Chinese, so I'm going to go study in China. Another great thing about living in China is the cost of living is significantly lower. For like rent of dorms, I don't have to buy gas because the public transportation there is really well implemented and totally convenient. I like car insurance, maintenance. Also, the phone service in the US is so much more expensive than in China. Here, I pay like $25 a month for 3 gigabytes. It's whatever. But in China, I got 10 gigabytes of 4G LTE for $9 US per month. Like, if you go to China, do it for the cheap phone bills. Just kidding. Do it for the food. But yeah, it was great. And I guess those savings just go straight to my plane tickets and travel expenses. It's all the same, I guess. Anyways, it's been about 2 weeks since I landed in the US and was reunited with my family after 10 months of being abroad. So it was a good experience and really helped me to appreciate my country more. There's things I like better about the US, and there's also things I like better about living in China. They're just good for different reasons. Really happy to be back for a while and really excited to go back. I am just grateful for where my life is going with this and grateful for the experiences that I get to have. And really, I'm just making these videos because I want my friends and family to understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, because I get asked a lot of questions and it's hard to answer them every time, and I'd rather just have them watch my videos before they see me, and it'll just be easier for them to know what's going on, and we can deeper and more meaningful conversation topics than are you the tallest person in China, or are you gonna marry a Chinese girl? I can see why they would ask me those things, but it's just easier if we can get them out of the way. So that's what I'm doing. I just want to be informative. I want to help people understand what I'm doing, what it's like, how it benefits me. I want people to clear up their misconceptions about other places and cultures in the world. But if you like the video, stay subscribed. I bet you won't stay subscribed. I bet you'd just be like, nah, I'm too good for this, but whatever. If you do subscribe to me and my videos, I love you. You're great. I'm trying to post every week, and I'm really going to focus on what it's like to be a college student in China, and also I want to talk all about what I'm studying, which is design.